Hello. In this lifetime, we are definitely going to face a lot of fears. And one of the fears that I have found to be quite debilitating for a lot of people is a fear of missing out. So I want to talk a little bit about where this develops and what we can do about it. The fear of missing out, otherwise called FOMO, is not just something that we experience when we watch other people on social media or compare ourselves to other people in our lives. It goes a lot deeper than that, and it actually has its roots in childhood. What it really is somebody not having a very strong sense of self as a result of their childhood experiences. And what I found in my experience working with people, with my clients, is that the fear of missing out is experienced as a void and a chasm in childhood where there is no strong sense of attachment to an authority figure or authority figures or our caregivers. And because our caregivers exhibit different traits and different qualities to us and expect us to mold ourselves to their way of looking at life, we start to compromise our sense of self in favor of getting love and being accepted by our caregivers. When this starts to happen, a pattern of confusion sets in for the child as to whether what they're experiencing is in fact a valid experience. So they do not have this sense of validation for their existence, which essentially means there is no sense of emotional validation. There is no sense of being heard, seen, valued, and accepted for who you are. Therefore, what ends up happening is that you end up taking on traits in personality in order to survive and please the caregivers and authority figures in your life. Now, when you do this, partly what happens is that your authenticity is compromised and you start to feel like you have to shrink in order to fit in to a given situation. So how this manifests in adult life is that you play much smaller, you try to fit into situations so that you do not end up disturbing the status quo of the situation. And you're afraid to be yourself in situations because you're afraid that you will lose the constructs of safety that you have built out for yourself. Now, have you ever been in a relationship where you've been afraid to be yourself or speak your mind or just do the things that are most important to you? Well, that is the fear of missing out. Why? Because we're afraid that if we did, then we'll lose the relationship. There is something deep within us that we're listening to, which is, don't do this, and it's the fear response. Don't do this because you might actually lose the relationship. So then what happens is we end up feeling stuck or keeping ourselves stuck in relationships. Another way this can express itself is with a person who is very hesitant to make career moves or changes in their life. And that might look like I'll always opt for the safety of a 9-to-5 job, even when I know that I have many skills to bring to the table in this lifetime. And so we continue to play small and keep the risk minimized so that we don't have to lose the existing safety net that we have built for ourselves. So that's another form in which it can show up. And then a third way is generally in life, this person might just become very hesitant to make decisions in life. They may shy away when it comes to a choice or a decision and it's a fork. They may shy away from moving in either direction because they feel locked in. They feel like they're boxed in. So all this is a shrinking energy. It's not an expansive energy. It's not a loving energy. Love is an expansive energy. And so what we want to start realizing is that our childhood patterns do not define us. While we did come into the constructs that we did, while we did adopt the constructs that we did in childhood, we don't have to feel locked into that as an adult. As adults, we have the ability to make choices that are actually different for ourselves. And so we exercise our authority and our power over ourselves and make choices, and those choices will be bold choices, wouldn't they? Because this is not territory that we've actually explored very deeply. So we would want to step in with boldness and courage into a new set of choices that will open us up to a new way of living. Now, what happens with a person who is afraid of missing out in life, therefore playing small because they're trying to keep everything as is in order to keep their safety net, is they're invariably going to be attracted to the person who exhibits a lot of independence and freedom in their life. And why is that? Because they're attracted to that freedom the other person is showing them. There's a part of them that's yearning for that freedom. So they naturally oscillate to a relationship where that freedom is a possibility. So they end up attracting a person who is their opposite. And in reality, the circumstances might have been the same, and the other person's response or reaction was, I'm going to move in the direction of just honoring myself, versus this other person is shrinking and trying to fit into the relationship, is playing small and wanting to keep the status quo. So what I want you to start seeing is that anytime you have the fear of missing out, you have to realize that you're seeking independence and expansion within yourself too, on the other side. So when you're seeking independence and expansion and an opening of your energy, then you can consciously start putting your attention on moving toward the things and the experiences that will open your life up to receive that energy of expansion in your life. So the way you do that is to consciously move toward the experiences and be in the experiences instead of shying away from the experience, and then having this phobia and this fear of not living your life in accordance with your higher values and playing small, and on top of that, having the fear of missing out. So now you've got a double effect of fear just running your life. So instead, you step into a boldness and a courage and own the direction that you're going in, which means you have to get very, very clear on your core values. What are your core values? Which means the most important aspects of your life and the highest priorities of your life, and start to live life according to those highest priorities. And when you can start to change your mindset into thinking this way, instead of being attracted to the partners who are not going to give you that, you'll start to own it in your own life. And when you can start to own it in your own life, you can then be more present to the relationships that you do want to attract. And most of the time, you will likely find that the relationship you want to attract is a relationship of similarity as opposed to differences. Now, that's not to say a relationship will not bring differences, but it's about you consciously knowing what the similarities are in your relationship that attach to your core values and what the dissimilarities in the relationship are that you can live with. So it's a conscious choice. When it comes to your professional life, because you have a clearer sense of core values, you will be more directed and focused in your energy to move toward a career that deeply satisfies you. And in general, you'll become more open to receiving your life and the experiences it brings, in addition to making decisions to move toward the life you desire. Now, all this will mean that you really will look within and heal a core wound that you have been carrying all your life. And that wound is the wound of not being validated for your existence and loved for who you are. And so you will move in the direction of healing that desire for unconditional love and step into the unconditional love that is already available to you. You will see the forms in which it's available to you and start to shift your reality. And when you start to shift your reality in micro doses, you start feeling validated on the inside. This is very important, extremely important, to start feeling like you are being validated for who you are. And once you start to feel validated for who you are, you'll start to see how the universe has been always supporting you, nourishing you, and leading you in a very loving way to the greatest life, to the greatest relationship of intimacy that you have always wanted. And lovingly pointed you in the direction of looking within, looking at your core wounds to heal that. This is the power of stepping into your authenticity so that you can let go of the fact that you need to have perfection in your life, and instead you start to see that there's always going to be things that are missing, and at the same time there are always going to be things to fill your cup with. This is the mindset of a successful person, and so you'll start to own this mindset within you so that you can move toward the greatest legacies of your life. Have a good day.